All right, thank you. It's good to talk to everyone this afternoon. Hopefully everyone's past their post-lunch coma at this point. I really enjoy having an opportunity to be at OMS, specifically because we've got a group here that's very diverse. People come from a wide range of different industries. And it's great to hear everyone's vision and ideas on where they're going with their technology and their challenges as well. But I believe that even though we have different goals and targets in our own businesses, we all have something in common as well, which is that everybody here in some way, shape, or form is in the business of creating something new, whether it's a new product or it's a new angle on your business model itself, trying to expand your success. And creating something new is exciting, but there's also an element of fear or terror as well, or can be when you're out there creating something new. I snapped this photo in San Diego. We have some pretty steep cliffs by the beach. And I always kind of got to laugh at this poor guy who's falling to his peril down off the cliff there. And that shouldn't be, product innovation shouldn't be like that, but sometimes it is. And I asked myself the question, why is it sometimes that really great ideas seem to fail? And I come up with the same answer every time, which is something goes wrong between the idea and the execution of that idea. And so as I look at our time today, I thought it'd be best to talk about this challenge of what it's like to bridge the gap between innovation and execution. Let's start out with some data. There's a survey last year out of the McKinsey Group looking at large IT software projects, large meaning $20 million or more each. And the data out of this is quite staggering. Almost half of the projects that were surveyed were running over budget. And that may be no huge surprise, those of us who are in the software business. But what's really interesting is that over half of them were delivering less value than expected. Even more terrifying than this, that when the project teams themselves were surveyed, 3/4 of the team members on the project thought their project was going to fail. This is not good news for us in general, so we have some challenges ahead of us. When asked to point to the reasons why they were failing, the projects were failing, they pointed to some of these as the key reasons. And if you look at the first two, obviously the third one is going to flow naturally from that. And all of these, I think you can point back to organizational reasons or leadership reasons and why this is the case. To add more complexity to this, we all have an enormous pressure to succeed, no matter what our business is. And it comes from a myriad of reasons, and it seems that whenever you've got one tackled, you've got the next one to deal with right away. And this makes for what can be a pretty challenging work environment for the most part. And we, quite frankly, we just don't want to be in this situation. And so as I look at this broad challenge that we all have in this world of innovation, I'd like to give us 3 different ways that we can challenge ourselves on how we're bridging the gap between innovation and execution. So the first one that I want to talk about is challenging our vision. Now, we don't have time to go into a lengthy conversation about vision, and there's a lot of good things we can say about this, but I do want to hit a couple of key points at the high level. If we look at the vision in the broad spectrum, we see a couple of ends of the spectrum. One would be vision, which results in evolutionary thinking. And then the other side, of course, would be revolutionary. And with evolutionary, we're talking about the classic, building a better mousetrap. Revolutionary, we're talking about things that change the entire industry or change the entire product segment in a way that we never look back at it the same way ever again. But the challenges for each side of the spectrum are different. For the evolutionary side, we have to ask ourselves the question, is what I'm delivering, does it have enough additional significant value that anyone's going to care? And I think the wearables conversation that we just had here is a great question, which could fall into the evolutionary side. I think until we see some significant changes in how we view wearables, we're on the left side of this, right? On the right-hand side, we have a different problem, which is if you're fighting a revolution or you're trying to build a revolution, do you have enough dry gunpowder to win? Is this going to take you 10 years, or is it going to be apparently obvious to your clients or customers what you're doing out of the box? And how we approach these different sides is very important to how our vision comes together for us. It's my belief that great vision has significant longevity, all right? If you feel like you're struggling with something that's got a ticking clock on it, that it's going to be 15 weeks or 6 months before your good idea goes away and you can't do it anymore, you're likely not struggling with an issue with vision, you're likely struggling with an issue of implementation of an idea, all right? And sometimes they get a little thready. And so it's good to go back at that point and challenge your vision. But one thing is true, great visionaries have one thing in common. Probably more than one thing, but one thing in common for the purpose of this conversation. And we've got a whole slew of people from the past and present that I've listed kind of in my visionary list. But all of these people understood that their vision spanned decades. So the challenge I'd give this group today would be, is your vision strong enough that it deserves to succeed? And I think that's a fair question we all have to ask ourselves when we're launching into something new. The second thing I want to talk about was the challenge of our own ideas. There's probably nobody better than Thomas Edison, who embodied a person with a lot of amazing ideas. But what I liked most about Edison in his life was the fact that he was not just committed to thinking great thoughts or even inventing new things. He was committed to producing those ideas in real products that were sold. The best example of that is when he moved his laboratories from Menlo Park to West Orange, he didn't just build new laboratories. He built entire factories because he actually wanted to produce stuff. And that act of going and producing stuff and sending it out to the public and trying to sell things is a little scary because there's always this fear of what happens if my ideas fail. And the tendency is maybe to hold back or polish it a little bit further, right? Because we all have this fear of failing publicly. It's especially true if you, say, have a venture-backed company. These things can be tough to get over. But maybe I can get a show of hands. Who here in the room has never failed at anything? Okay, exactly. So we're going to fail. If you're doing new things, you're going to fail a lot. So the question is, the issue is, if you're going to fail, you better learn how to fail well. So learn how to fail. And my strong suggestion here is that you learn to fail quickly, cheaply, and adapt rapidly. All right? If we can get on a track like this, failure isn't as scary as it could be, and it's hopefully not as permanent, because we all know people have not just lost their projects or their careers. Sometimes companies go down in a blaze of glory because things have failed. All right? I've got a simple suggestion on how to make this process more doable, easier to manage. And that is something I call piecewise success. And you can plan this in to your creative idea process. The idea of piecewise success is set yourself out milestones that you can accomplish and either succeed or fail at. Hopefully succeed. We'll take the positive here. And piecewise success means you set something that's achievable, measurable, and short-term. And short-term is important, as I said before, because you do not want to waste time trying to polish it perfectly when what you really need to do is get it out there and see what the response is going to be like so you can adapt rapidly. Okay? So the third thing I want to talk about is the challenge of our teams. And this, as Liz said earlier, is a personal passion, a professional passion of mine, to work and build high-performing, high-functioning teams. And the reason I'm so passionate about it is because I believe it pays off in spades. It's often neglected, and we see all around us when this is not working. It's as obvious as the nose in your face, right? The real issue here is a poor functioning team is going to be a waste of your time, complete waste of your time. Jim Collins wrote a fantastic book a number of years back called From Good to Great. And his team of researchers were delving into this question of why some companies are good and others flourished and became great companies. Same industry, same time frame, same opportunities. Some went up and some just kind of went along, right? And there's a lot of good takeaways from the book, but one of the threads of steel that goes through is the importance of people, the importance of teams. And in the great companies, the team structure and the people on the team were superior to those in other companies. So much so that when he summarized the entire section, he said, great vision without great people is irrelevant. So I've got a very simplistic way of looking at this, but I believe we can measure high-performing teams relatively easily. I would say that if you have a team where you respect, enjoy, and admire the people that you work with, assuming they know their business, of course, that team will produce. They'll produce in such a way that you'll know it, your clients will know it, and everybody around you who's interacting with your company will know that this team you have is unique and special and a producing team. In my background, I've spent about 15 years in the business of consuming services, consuming consulting from other companies. And I have to admit that, as a whole, I found that a very unsatisfying prospect. And most of the time, I really felt like I did not get the value out of consulting and services that I needed for moving my ideas to a point of execution. And so it's no surprise that when I had the opportunity to lead Room 5 and set the vision here, that those experiences heavily influenced the way we have built the company. And I'm quite proud of what we've built at Room 5. Instead of going on to a lengthy, shameless sales pitch about the company, I thought I would show a video that tells a story that some of you may be able to relate to.
Let's say you've got a big idea. You share your idea with someone who can help build it. Your ideas get sent far away, and you might be surprised to know who you're working with. A massive project team is assigned to work on your big idea. Unfortunately, you're not there, and the team doesn't fully understand your idea. As the days and weeks go by, you haven't heard or seen anything. You begin to worry how things are going. They promised that their A team would be working for you, but you have your doubts. After months of waiting, you finally get to see your completed idea. It's not what you needed, and certainly not what you wanted. All that time and money wasted. Now let's say you take your big idea to a whole different kind of company. At Room 5, we have experience helping clients with lots of big ideas. Our local customized team gets involved with your idea from day one. We love to help you innovate so your ideas become even better. Our solutions can help get you to market more quickly, and collaborating with you is how we enjoy working. That's why we can work in our office, or yours. So when the big day comes, you've got what you need for success. And maybe a little bit more. Seeing your ideas come to life is our passion. So do everyone a favor and please don't feed zombies. Room 5, Solutions Illuminated.
And the zombie gets it in the end. You have to love it. The team is in back here. I'd like a chance to meet with you, and they'd love to meet with you as well, and have an opportunity to discuss your big idea. Thanks for your time today. Appreciate it.